Good afternoon, it's Friday, August 2nd, 2024. Peace is the path to the prosperity of a nation. Let me strain on the news this afternoon. Heavy security as End Bad Governance protest enters Day 2 in Port Harcourt. Rivers residents resume normal business activities today. IGP places officers on red alert, says one policeman killed during protest. And on the foreign scene, funeral for slain Hamas leader to be held in Qatar. I'm Ifichuku Moyele with the news. Now, there was heavy presence of security today at the End Bad Governance protest as the End Bad Governance protest entered its second day in Port Harcourt. Correspondent Mekwotaka reports that the protesters this morning barricaded Aba Road near the Federal Secretariat, obstructing vehicular movement. Vehicles are currently taking alternative routes at GRA Junction and Rumuala Junction. Our correspondent also reports that the protesters gathered at Pleasure Park around 10 a.m. and marched towards the River State Secretariat with heavy presence of security personnel. Some of the protesters spoke on the reason why they decided to join the protest.
We've had enough of our leaders oppressing us. When they come out for campaign, they give us all sorts of promises. But at the end of the day, what we get is nothing to write home about.
We are here because one cheaper of yam is 10,000. One bag of rice, 100,000. Then one bottle of oil is 2,000 naira. How are we going to survive?
Because of the annoyance in us, due to the hardship in Nigeria, the skyrocketing price of things in the market, and there's no fuel, and fuel is very expensive. That's why I see we are not here for violence. We are here for a peaceful protest.
I'm facing hunger, I'm facing poverty, I'm facing so many things. I have 1 million reasons why I joined this protest. The system is not working. It's only for a few persons. The politicians are thinking that they own this country.
Another protester, a lawyer, lamented how he has lost clients due to the economic hardship in the country. Other protesters say they do not need the government's palliative, rather they want the prices of goods to fall.
Over time, as a lawyer, it has not been easy. You take clients to pay money, they will not pay. Because they don't have, we will not sit and look. We have one man called Tinubu, one man called Ababio, who decide for us. They will choose themselves. After Tinubu, another Tinubu will enter. They know themselves, their lives are taking over this country. And we, that are citizens of this country, will not sit back and watch this happen.
Can you tell me and point out where the Chaweti is coming from? Where the masses, where the thing is going from? Tell me where the palliative is going. Can you tell me?
We don't need all those palliative. We don't need all those rice. All those things they are bringing. We don't need them. We don't need them. We want them to come down to the normal price.
The River State Commissioner of Police Olatunji Disu warned the protesters not to allow hoodlums to hijack the protest. CP Disu said this aim to assess the situation of the protest at the Federal Secretariat. He commended the protesters for being peaceful and also appealed to them to leave the road to allow free flow of vehicular movement. But the protesters said they won't leave the road. Have a listen.
If you think we are going to come here and have confrontation with you, you have failed. If you think that is what is your mind, then it will not happen. At the same time, I want us to know that we don't want you to block the road.
No. We are doing protest.
We will stay here with you. Anywhere you want to go, we'll go with you. I have walked almost everywhere in the country, but the level of cooperation I get from you, I have not gotten anywhere. So I thank you so much for the cooperation, and I look forward to more.
In the meantime, activities have resumed in Port Harcourt as against the situation on Thursday when many areas were deserted. Around the Garrison axis, correspondent Yobiurawa reports that businesses have resumed there. Some shop owners and traders were seen opening for business today at the popular computer village in Garrison axis of the state. Two shop owners spoke to our correspondent about their experiences yesterday and why they opened for business today.
Yesterday, it was peaceful in this Ogunnabani, precisely Computer Village. There was a peaceful protest. None of our goods were tempered from any of the people protesting. We are still sitting by the corner observing the road for now, but I believe God everywhere is calm.
Like we normally display our goods outside, but we do not display it. It's a part of our own way of protesting. We are not afraid of anything. We are destroying it. We are not the government. And rather, we are citizens passing through the difficulties. We go out and buy goods expensively. We could try to convince people to buy. Nobody will destroy our goods. We are part of the protest.
In the meantime, some drivers who operate along the Garrison to Agri Road said passengers are few.
So today the thing is trying to come up little. Problem. Passenger. We don't have a lot of passengers about the protest, but the grace of God we try to manage to get to it.
The way the road is that so that any movement, I will join the movement.
In the Chola axis of what businesses resumed the morning, correspondent observed that commercial vehicle traffic has returned to normal compared to shuttle buses are also transporting students to the University of Port Harcourt. In Oyibo, people went about their businesses. Our correspondent reports that the area is peaceful. We also gathered that the traffic is equally scanty around that area. In Abuja, Channels Television is reporting that officers of the Nigerian police force today fired tear gas canisters at protesters assembling at the popular Berger roundabout in Abuja. The report said even Jahari procession was spared as they were also tear gassed. In the meantime, federal and state government have been advised to address the demands of the protesters to prevent further disruptions of economic activities and security across the country. Speaking on Channels Television, Senior Advocate of Nigeria Femi Falana said the government must stop mobilizing youth to disrupt rallies and rather engage with the protesters.
To draw the necessary lessons from what happened today. First of all, is the need for the government, and I'm not talking of the federal government alone, to learn to move speedily to douse tension in the country, to learn to engage people, as I did suggest a couple of weeks ago. Like some of us who said we didn't know who the organizers of the protest were or are, the State Security Service claimed to know them. And so once they have been identified, what the government should have done was to engage them.
Now, he also commended the River State Governor Siminalayi Fubara for addressing protesters yesterday.
And in the entire country today, I think it was only in River State where the governor came out, Governor Fubara, to address the crowd. And for the young people, you could see it on television. The fact substantially fulfilled, that at least somebody was listening to them and somebody was assuring them that their complaints will be attended to. And that should happen all over the place.
Also, spokesperson of the Labour Party in River State, Gogo Wellington, said the government can only stop the protest by addressing the demands of the protesters.
Because as it is right now, the common man has no place. The common man has been displaced from the equation of Nigeria. When you set minimum wage to reflect the level of high-handedness of our leaders, extent that the minimum wage cannot reflect the correct living standard of the people. So we want a government that will be in tune with the demands and the lifestyle of the people. A government that has the people at heart. A government that will make policies that are people-friendly. A government that will make policies that are reflective of the current state of things.
Yesterday, while addressing protesters in front of the government house, Governor Fubara called for patience with the government and commended them for a peaceful demonstration.
I am one of you. I feel your pain. And in our own government here, we are doing everything to make life easy for our people. But you see, this particular protest that we are doing now, our only worry is that we know that a lot of people are planning to take advantage of this protest to destroy our state. But we will not allow it. I want to thank you for being peaceful. I will support you. Before you leave here, I will give you small thing, at least to take by pure water.
Meanwhile, the Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Wetokun, says a policeman was killed while on duty during the End Bad Governance nationwide protest yesterday. At a briefing in Abuja, the IGP says some of his men were also injured by hoodlums disguised as protesters. He says some police stations in the country were razed by rioters. He said in light of the current situation, the Nigeria Police Force has placed all units on red alert and officers have been fully mobilized and prepared to respond quickly to public safety and order. The IGP also confirmed the death of 4 persons in Borno State. Also, Amnesty International has claimed that 13 persons were killed in the first day of the nationwide protest and has called for a probe. In a statement today, the humanitarian group listed the states where the killings took place. It said 6 persons were killed in Suleja, Niger State, with dozens severely wounded, 4 in Maiduguri, Borno State, and 3 were killed in Kaduna State. Still to come, NCAA declares airports safe amid End Bad Governance protest. Stay with us.
This is the news on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
Yeah, welcome back, and now the rest of the news. Jigawa State Governor Omar Namadi has declared a 24-hour curfew after the hunger protest turned violent in the state. Declaring the curfew in a state broadcast on Thursday night, the governor noted that the restriction is with immediate effect. He, however, stated that it will be relaxed from 12 noon to 2:30 p.m. today to allow Muslims to participate in the Jumat congregational prayers. Away from that, the Rivers State Commissioner for Health, Adeze Ore, says the state government is intensifying efforts to ensure Rivers people, especially those in rural areas, are well informed and educated on exclusive breastfeeding, nutrition, hygiene, and environmental sanitation. Mrs. Ore said this as World marks Breastfeeding Week. She said breastfeeding is one of the best investments for saving babies in society. She called on communities to support the health of mothers and infants through exclusive breastfeeding.
Breastfeeding provides adequate food and nourishment from the first day of life up to 2 years and beyond. Exclusive breastfeeding for at least 6 months after a child's birth is a powerful lifesaver. Mother's milk provides optimal nourishment and a vital factor in preventing common illnesses, especially diarrhea and infections of the respiratory tract, including pneumonia, ear infections, and urinary tract infections. The act of breastfeeding releases growth hormones, promotes healthy oral development, and establishes a trusting relationship between mother and baby.
Mrs. Ore also spoke on the benefit of breastfeeding to new mothers.
Beginning exclusive breastfeeding shortly after birth lowers the mother's risk for excess postpartum bleeding and anemia. It reduces mother's stress by keeping her infants or young children healthy and well nourished. It saves the mother money, energy, and time. It boosts mother's own immune system, helps delay a new pregnancy, and reduces the insulin needs of diabetic mothers. It helps protect the mother from breast and ovarian cancers and hip fractures, and reduces the risk of environment-borne illnesses, malnutrition, food sensitization, and allergy.
The theme for this year's World Breastfeeding Week is Closing the Gap, Breastfeeding Support for All. And now in business, the Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority has assured passengers of their safety at the airport and smooth airline operations as a hunger protest continues nationwide. The Director of Public Affairs and Consumer Protection of NCAA, Michael Achimogu, insisted that there was adequate security at the airport. However, train services were suspended on Thursday as a precautionary measure against damages at train stations, particularly on the Abuja-Kaduna route. In entertainment, rapper Cardi B has filed for divorce from Offset. Again, the Bodak Yellow rapper submitted the filing on Wednesday, seeking primary custody of their 2 children. And now to sports. Manchester United have received a second bid from Fulham, understood to be £20 million for midfielder Scott McTominay.
And now, we'll bring you news from around the world.
Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh will be buried in Qatar today following his assassination in Tehran, Iran. It was one in a series of killings of senior figures in the Palestinian militant group as the war between Israel and Hamas in Gaza rages. Haniyeh will be interred in a cemetery after funeral prayers in the city of Lusail, Doha.
This is the news on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
That's a wrap on the news this afternoon. Before we go, let's have a look at the major stories. Now, there's heavy security as the End Bad Governance protest entered its second day in Port Harcourt. Rivers residents today resumed normal business activities. The IGP has placed officers on red alert, saying one policeman was killed during yesterday's Bad Governance protest. And on the foreign scene, a funeral for slain Hamas leader to be held in Qatar. The news was edited by Martha Okere. To reach the news team, send an SMS or WhatsApp to 0808 721 7215. I'm Ifechukwu Moyele. Many thanks for listening.